Welcome to the After the Show podcast as we celebrate Sam's happiest, well, the happiest we've ever seen you. This skydiving video, I can't stop watching it. And it's on our Instagram and Facebook pages and YouTube if you want to go check it out. Sam taking his first ever skydive.
I never doubted that you would, bail at the last. I mean, I never doubted that. I never had doubt that you would go through with it. I guess is what I'm trying to say. Yeah. But it's still really cool now that you've done it. It's just like, wow. I couldn't.
I was explaining to Jodi a little while ago on the side about the only split second of regret I had was when my feet were hanging out the plane, and he pulled my arm off because I was holding on to the plane, the last thing I could hold on to, and I had to put it on my, my straps. And when feet are hanging, holding on my straps, I have control over nothing.
Right.
And as you start to lean out for that to go, it's like, why? And
I wonder if they had anyone get sick right there, because that would be disgusting and horrible.
I could see somebody clawing their way back into the plane from that point.
Yeah.
It's because once you're faced with finally, there is nothing down there. And 10,000 feet, to me on the ground, it's like, 10,000 feet. But when you're at 10,000 feet, my God, it looks high.
Yes.
Yeah.
I have two questions.
I can't imagine 30,000 feet in a plane.
I have two questions.
Yeah.
One is, when you are diving, as we've seen on this video, this reel, your mouth is wide open. You didn't catch anything, did you? No bugs or anything like that?
No.
You didn't worry about that?
I didn't think my mouth was, I didn't notice.
When I go walking fast and my mouth is open, I always eat a bug, and I hate it. Yeah,
when I ride my bike, I always get those swarming gnats or whatever. No, I wasn't thinking about it. I don't know how many bugs are at 10,000 feet.
Were you dry after?
Yeah. See, okay. I didn't know that I had my mouth open, but it was probably just the
the excitement.
You weren't thinking about it. My other question is about the person that you jumped with, the tandem guy.
Yeah.
Is this his everyday? Is this his weekend job? Is it his fun?
These people all have weekday jobs.
So this is their hobby.
Yeah.
And it's what they do for fun.
They come in there, and they don't come in every weekend. They just come in when they can, and they're there to jump with everybody.
Yeah.
And they also have fun jumpers, which I had a fun jumper on my plane. I was like, I want one of those.
Yeah.
It's just mine was tandem since it's my first jump, and I don't know what I'm doing. A fun jumper is somebody that jumps all the time. And so they had a slot open on the plane, my flight. So a fun jump.
He jumped in.
They have people that just sit there and wait for a slot to open all day. They could be sitting there all day waiting.
Oh.
And so mine had a slot open, so he got on, and he's the guy that jumped out at 5,000 feet. I was just sitting there, and it's
Why does he have to jump at 5? Why can't he wait till 10?
I don't know. And it was like, you're just sitting there, and all of a sudden, off my left shoulder, I see, there he goes. No announcement, anybody. He just went.
How many times do you have to jump tandem before you can be a fun jumper? Do you know any of this?
That I don't know.
That's the one I read about that.
Okay.
I mean, it just depends, because there is no official certification, but there, you in most cases, most places are not going to let you do it unless you've actually done a certain amount of dives.
Yeah.
Sure.
Most of these guys that fly these planes, they're not going to let you go if you've never done it before.
Sure.
Yeah.
You signed waivers, right? You signed that
I signed a lot of stuff.
I bet you did. Did you read any of that fine
print? It's not
print?
our fault. CA, not our fault again. Still not our fault.
I do expect that. What was the name of the guy that you tandemed with?
Will.
Yeah. How fantastic for him to get to do that and share one of the biggest life experiences with people, strangers, every weekend.
As soon as we finished, and walked back, he had another flight. The next flight was getting ready to go up. And so as I was getting my stuff off, I see him explaining to the next person.
Same
this
thing.
is what you do, and and all that
But he
stuff.
knows that you did this for your birthday. You've always wanted to do it. So he knows he was a big part of something really special to you.
Yeah.
That's a cool thing for him, is what I'm saying.
By the way, when I was like, it's my birthday, and he goes, oh, really? We just had an 80-year-old jump for his birthday. And I was
Really?
like, okay, well, shut up and get back in the corner here. Then there was the man that came off the flight before me, and then, he was the guy at 80 years old.
Wow.
Yeah.
Were you able to hear anything that he had to say about it?
He was just saying he had so much fun. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, I don't know if anybody does that and gets down and goes, I'm glad that's over with.
Oh, I'm sure there are some people who do that.
Doing it, it's like I have to go back and do it again so that now that I know what it is, I know.
You want to savor it more.
I want to be able to,
remember it.
The free fall is 35 seconds, give or take.
That sounds longer than you free fall on a roller coaster.
It seemed like about 10 seconds doing the fall. And it's like, I want to be able to, because I also knew, he's got the video, so I want to look at the camera and, hey!
You did a little bit.
So it's like, I'd like to go do it without a camera so I can just like
enjoy.
And yeah.
Okay, so does your stomach go?
Yeah, that was going to be my question, actually. Do you get the butterflies or the...
I remember about 2 weeks ago, Carrie called us.
Yes.
And said, it's not the roller coaster butterfly feeling. And it wasn't. And I'm just thinking, how can it not be? You're falling. You're free falling.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's because my mind goes elsewhere or what
Something
it was.
To do with the atmosphere?
I just knew as soon as we left, that's what I was going to feel. And I didn't. I just don't know why, but it's just like you're flying and falling and flying, and it feels like you're floating, and then you really are floating once the parachute opens. But there was not even, obviously you can see the video and the wind is whipping past me, but it's like you're just there, falling and
that's
feeling
why it's
it,
so
and
cool.
it's just
that's the adrenaline. That's the experience that you're paying for. If you continue to do this and you go up and up and up and give the money and keep doing it, you are trying to capture that feeling.
Yeah. And now I see why people do flips and jump off of mountains with no power, with those wing suits. And it's like they're looking for how can I kick it up a notch? How can I kick it up a notch?
Sure.
That adrenaline rush.
Yeah.
So do you think you could do one of those big bungee cord things off of one of those suspension bridges? I mean, all of these questions for me are no. So
I don't know if I want to do that.
Yeah, it's that you're going to go way back up if you do
because
that.
The part of this is I know I have an expert tied to my back.
Yeah.
The bungee cord, it's me. I know I'm strapped in, but it's like you got to go and you're going to keep going, and then you're hoping you're not going to hit and you're going to bounce back up, and then with a bungee you do it, you know, repeatedly.
Right.
I just want to do this again. It just feels so. It felt so good. I want to go higher and fall longer.
Have you thought about scheduling? Have you thought about when yet?
No.
Okay.
I gotta keep savoring this for another week or so. And by the way, when the chute did open, there was a tugging and you slow down. But once the slowing down part, it was like 3 or 4 seconds of that. But once you just start to float, it is dead quiet.
Yeah.
Nothing. It's just, I mean, obviously you hear.
It's funny that Taylor, our oldest, Taylor Murphy, told us that once. She's always been a daredevil type. She's not afraid of anything, and she loves a thrill. And so I know that skydiving will be in her future one day. That'll be hard for me on the ground. But we were at some amusement park, and remember there was this really high swing thing that she went on. And she said she couldn't believe how quiet it was up there. Like we don't realize.
I don't remember how high that thing was in the air. It was maybe 300 feet or something like that.
I don't know. I don't know. But she said it was way up there.
Yeah, and I mean, with the spinning chairs, basically. Yeah. It starts, it goes up, and then spins at the top, and then eventually comes back down. And
that was her comment. How quiet.
Yeah.
I thought that's kind of lovely, actually.
Well, it's almost, I mean, it's not the exact same thing, but, if you're out on the water and you get far enough away from the shoreline, it's quite, sound only travels so far, and so if there's nothing around you, it's weird how peacefully quiet it is. Yeah.
Yeah. How different.
But I spent a little time looking for, Sammy and Melissa and Hollis down on the ground so I could wave to them, but it's like, you're just floating. And it's like I'm looking, there's water and there's a highway and there's tons of trees and there's the airport. And
so was the guy that you were in tandem with, was he steering back towards the landing?
Oh, that's the thing too. I didn't know this, but my daughter-in-law Melissa said that there were a couple times we were sideways, with the parachute while he was turning.
You just didn't know it.
I knew he was turning occasionally because I could see his hand grabbing, you turn left and right. And it's like we would just start flying off and it's like, we're getting away from the airport. And then he'd pull down and would swing back over and it would fly and he'd pull down. And I didn't know that I was sideways.
So he's literally steering back to the landing zone. Wow, that's cool.
and we just landed on the grass. And because I don't have any skills for landing yet, I just had to pick my feet up and land on my butt.
Ouch.
It was fine.
Okay, good.
So, what did your mom have to say about all this?
Looks like you enjoyed it. I think she was really bummed because she wanted to be there to see it. And
yes, she couldn't be.
It's like they canceled me Saturday. They could do it Sunday, but she was working the Saints game Sunday, so she couldn't be there.
Yeah.
So.
Well, she could be there the next time.
I just, being in that little plane, it's like they're going to have a tough time squeezing her in there. She's 85. She's not nimble. Like, she's elderly or senior or whatever you call her. I mean, she's not incapable of getting in a plane, but it's like that little tiny area.
Do they all do small? Are all of them small little planes?
I don't know. The plane, my son Parker jumped last year, and when I saw the plane, it's like, oh, this is the same plane he jumped from. It's a little Cessna. Mm-hmm. Murphy. I thought about Murphy so many times in that plane.
Is it a one-seater or a two-seater?
Well, the pilot had a seat.
And that was
it?
That
was about it. The guy that jumped early was behind me next to the pilot. And then I was there. Next to me was a guy who was training as a pilot. Well, he's a pilot for somebody else, but he's picking this place up on the weekends when the pilot couldn't fly, so they have two. And then my instructor was in the back, and we were all just like,
You thought of Murphy because of the tightness?
Thought about Murphy because there was no door where I was.
Ugh.
And when the 5,000-foot guy jumped, I was leaning out the door. You can see that in the video, maybe.
Yeah, I did see that in the video.
Oh, yeah,
I'm watching him fall, and the guy's like, "Hey, Sam." And I was watching him, and when he finally opened, I was like, "Oh, good, he opened." But it's like the door was it was like a dog sticking its head out the door.
Oh, my gosh.
And
you're making me nervous.
Right at eye level
this.
is the bottom of the wing. It's like right next to my head, and I'm looking, and it's like, oh, that looks like a wire that was just wrapped on there. And
wow, that's weird.
And they has headliner in the plane too, and it was coming off.
Unreal.
A lot of Murphy thoughts. It's like, no, this would not happen.
Yeah.
Everything you've said to me about that plane, the tightness of it, and is a hard no of not even getting in the plane.
Yeah, you're checking all my boxes for no on this one.
When we walked over to the plane to get in, he goes, hang on. He gets everybody in. He goes, all right, now you, and I want you to put your feet here. And it's like, there's no room for me.
You're so tall. You're so tall is one of the reasons.
And then he put a seatbelt on me, which I really thought was funny. I was the only one in there with a seatbelt on.
Why?
Probably because I was the only one without a parachute on, too.
Yes. From our Instagram and Facebook page about the video of your skydiving, Gingy said, I could never do it. Sam, you're braver than me. It's awesome. This is from Angela. Maybe one day I'll be brave enough. Jerry said, if at first you don't succeed, skydiving is not your sport.
That's
that one's
funny.
just for you.
And by the way, there were no, I did refrain from those kind of jokes around the group that was hanging around there.
Good. Well,
you ready to go? Yeah, I sure hope the parachute opens.
You never know. I know.
It's like,
maybe that's not correct talk.
That's what I'm saying. I just kept my mouth shut.
Well, the more you do it, the more you'll know. Yeah. You'll know. They'll get to know, he's the funny guy. They're going to expect you to.
If he's here again.
You jump with the same crew, that is.
Yeah.
Missed any part of the show? Get it all on the Murphy, Sam, and Jodi podcast.